would be amazed at how improving just a little bit of customer service could attract the kind of patients that you want to be treating in your clinic. And it's actually not that hard and doesn't cost you any money. So this is great if you're at any point in your OT therapy clinic business, right? My name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and over 10 years ago I started my therapy clinic. And over 5 years ago, it's probably 6 years already, that I started Hand Therapy Secrets to share all my clinical knowledge and my business knowledge and help therapists become CHTs. And then one day you want to go and like have your own business, right? So I want to share with you just a little bit of my experience. I'll share with you something recently, and I'll share with you what I've done in my clinic. So I don't know if you can tell, but I have a terrible haircut right now. I had my hairstylist for probably over 20 years. So I met her when I came back to Miami from studying at school in the University of Florida. And I met her, and she's been my hairstylist for a really long time. And then this little biatch, who's a friend of mine, so I can say that, she decided to move and retire. What is this? So I have been struggling to find a new hairstylist. The reason why I bring it up is because I called a place that was convenient to me, and money wasn't like necessarily a problem. I wasn't looking for anything that's cheap or expensive or anything. I was just like, I just want a good haircut, right? And this is my second attempt. I don't know what I was thinking with these side bangs. Anyway, my second attempt, and I'll tell you, both times the customer service hasn't been that great. And then because their customer service wasn't that great, and then my haircut wasn't that great, I'm not likely to come back. Now, if you don't have, like, if your skills weren't all that like impressive, it's okay. If you took care of certain aspects of customer service, you would just get patients. Like, you would just get patients coming to you and patients coming back to you, right? So I go to this place. It has pretty decent reviews. It's convenient to me. I called them. It was easy to make an appointment. I was like, okay, it's really, girl was nice on the phone. And sorry, but in Miami, she spoke English, which was really good for me, because I'm like, oh, then somebody there, I can explain to them, how I would like my haircut, right? So I go and I make it for my daughter and I go in there, and they're perfectly nice. The place is like okay looking, nothing fancy, not overly clean or new looking. So it looked a little bit worn down. The front desk was very nice, but I came in, she, said hi and all that stuff. And, pretty much the whole time she was just like watching TV or doing whatever. And then the hairstylist came out and took us. And I would say that they did a great hair wash, right? But then the stylist that was cutting the hair, she wasn't very interactive. She wasn't like, oh, and it's not that I need someone to sit here and like share my whole life story and talk to me and stuff like that. I'm there for hair. So, it was pretty much like, what do you want? What kind of haircut you want? Versus like finding a little bit more about my hair. You go and you're just like, oh, I just wish someone would do like a consultation. Oh, tell me a little bit about your hair. Oh, look at this cleanness. Tell me, what kind of trouble you're having. What do you want a haircut with? I'm like, girl, I'm in perimenopause and this shit's like falling out. Look, I think I'm, getting a receding hairline. Dear Lord, have mercy. Anyway, this kind of haircut. No, it's just like, do you want bangs? Like, where do you want it? Right here, right here, right here. My point being is that if it could be a little bit nicer, imagine how many more people could come in. I recently just spoke to a young woman spoke to a young man who came in flexor tendon injury, and he was like, really frustrated with his injury, didn't really understand the impact of the surgery and what he required to do. And I was like, I'm really surprised that they didn't tell you to go and do therapy 5 days after surgery, because with this type of injury, you want to get started. He's 4 weeks post-op, right? 4 weeks. And he's like, well, I called these places and no one even calls me back, right? And I was like, oh, that's interesting, right? Just a few things that could do. So I sat there and talked to him. We do a free consultation. We do a follow-up. And this is all I'm saying. It's like you can do the most simple things and it can improve on patients coming into your clinic, staying in your clinic, and paying you more money. And it's so simple. It starts with the first phone call, right? So I'm going to write it down. First phone call, so important. First call, you would be amazed. You'd be amazed at like how I've called people myself, like as a customer calling someone just to get someone to talk to me, just to get someone to be nice on the phone. You would think it's so easy and that's so basic, but you'd be surprised like how little that is available anymore. There's a lot of automations, people are really upset. So imagine if you were just like nice and listen, like, hey, tell me more about what's going on, how can I help you, that you would get more patients willing to come in, right? After the first phone call is the follow-up, right? It's the follow-up. It's the simple thing is like, hey, I saw that you left a message, I saw that you were looking for something, I saw that you were looking for help, how can I help you? So instead of thinking about like, I need patients today, think about how you can help them today. And if they don't choose you, say, well, I can refer you to, so one of the things we do is like, insurance is very hard to navigate. So if you'd like me to help you with that, I can. Even if you don't come to me, it can be so simple as that. Just offering a little additional help. It's amazing the amount that people would be grateful for, and then they might not call you now and they might want to use their insurance first, right? But it allows you to call them back. So I had a lady, and I hardly answer my phone, right? I have staff to do that, but I had to answer the phone the other day. My Spanish sucks ass, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. Lo siento. Like, my Spanish is so terrible. Can I have my assistant call you back, right? So we're on the phone for a little bit because she then switched to a little bit English and was like, I'm looking for a hand specialist. I'm like, yeah, I'm a hand specialist. Like, that's what I do. But I was like, listen, like my Spanish is so terrible. I speak Spanish, but I'm better like in person, right? But I will have my assistant call you back. I ended up giving her the pricing over the phone, and she was like, it's too expensive for me. And I was like, no problem. Can my assistant just call you back just to give you free advice? So I had my assistant, send her a message, call her back, tell her where to look for our YouTube channel, what videos does she need, what's their problem, so I'm at least offering some free advice. The guy that came in today, he was like really frustrated with insurance. I'm like, this is how insurance works. I can make it a little bit easier for you, right? I mean, he didn't say no, but he's like, I'm not working, I'm this, I'm that, and he was just frustrated. So I'm not here to convince you, I'm not here to pressure you, but it'll save you some time and energy if you call your insurance company, right? If you call your insurance company and you ask them, hey, can I have the list of places I'm allowed to go to that's covered within my network? That way you know exactly where you're allowed to go, you know exactly what's covered and what's not covered. And then here's the magic, is that follow-up. I can follow up with him in a few days and say, hey, did you get what you're looking for, right? Would you like to, I know we're expensive, but would you like to at least come in and learn what you need to do? Whatever you can. We provide payment plans. Just to reiterate again, I even told him, hey, I have tons of videos on YouTube. You can go ahead and watch those if you're just looking for something. But if you want more detailed, more specific help, I can help you, by setting you up for an initial evaluation. But he was just like shocked that nobody was talking to him. So my point being is like, can you imagine if you just had a really nice first phone call and then you did a follow-up or invited them for a free consultation, like how much that would set your business apart? I mean, it's so simple, but it took me thousands of dollars to learn that I'm sharing for free right here, right? And then the magic comes when you are able to follow up and, of course, convert them. And if you're looking to learn more, not just on like selling, but more of that whole process of how to have the best first conversations, how to best follow up. In my OT Business Corner program, I teach that on one of the modules, but every year that you're in that program, so once you come into that program, you have lifetime access, and every year we do a live session. So this year, I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently, and we're going to be going over marketing and sales, and I'm sharing with you my system and processes to get the most out of what you're doing with the limited amount of time that you have, right? And just making it easier for yourself so that you can constantly attract new patients to come into your business and then have great conversations with them where they're just like, here, I want to book an appointment. I had a guy come in the other day and knew, like, from the first moment, I didn't think he was going to convert, but after spending a lot of time talking to him, and of course it's about the type of conversation and then how you're saying things, But he came in for initial evaluation and then just booked 12 visits, right? So it's totally possible to have great customer service and then be able to bring in the right people into your clinic and be able to charge the prices that you want to charge them, right? So this is like front-facing customer service. I think the other part of the customer service that is really important is just like, what are your sessions like, right? While in the session, there's a couple of things while in the session. So one of my patients that comes in, I mean, he drives in, and not everyone can do this, but he drives in like, it's like he's an hour and a half away. He drives in, and instead of driving back and forth, he just gets a hotel room next to my clinic, does several days of therapy, and then goes back home, right? Obviously, not everyone can do this, but it's funny, while in the session with him, I'm just talking, I'm just bullshitting, right? Not everything about therapy needs to be about therapy. You know, we talk about business, we talk about socials, we talk about chocolate and food. I mean, just whatever they want to talk about. But it was really funny because the other day he was like, oh, you know, he goes, I feel so comfortable, like I have a friend here, you know, and we're just like shooting the shit. Exactly, right? I'm causing this man pain sometimes. And so it should feel kind of nice every once in a while, right? Poor thing's got a pretty bad injury. But just keep in mind, like, just because they're coming to you for therapy doesn't mean that every last part of your conversation has to be about therapy. It can be just about anything that they are comfortable talking to you about, what you're comfortable talking to them about, and just making it, like, I think light and fun and not so heavy, right? You know, I think that a lot of people like to talk to me because I'm pretty non-judgmental, right? Like, I don't give a shit what you're doing, right? For the most part, like what you do in your life isn't necessarily like directly affecting me, so why am I going to judge you on it? You know. And one of the things that he was like really comfortable talking to me about is just because he can talk about like whatever BS he's doing, and I don't really care, you know. And I think to a certain extent, you know, it's important for people to feel like they're being heard, they're being listened to, and not judged. And then I can anticipate like what he's struggling with. So he has a pretty bad injury, and in talking with him, I'm like, yeah, I know you seem really worried about like the future and what's going to happen with his arm. And so I give him a step-by-step plan, like, hey, listen, you just got to make your doctor's appointment, and then based on what they say, and here's my recommendation, I'm happy to talk to them, this and that and the other. And then after that, once we get x-rays and we can confirm this and that, let's talk about it then, instead of like making up stories, right? So just meeting them where they're at. And I know that a lot of therapists, like as a therapist, you already do a lot of this. However, what happens is when you get really busy and bogged down, you'll forget this part. It happens every single time. You're gonna forget this part. So hopefully you take this video as a reminder, like not to forget that part. If you have staff, this is something that I talk to my staff about a lot. Like, don't make everything, you know, about this exercise or that exercise, right? Yes, we want results, but we want to do it in a way that helps people have an overall great experience with us. And I think the last thing is just appearance, right? It's just all the little details. My clinic is kept clean. It is kept looking new and refreshed. Like a couple years ago, repainted the walls. You know, had to pay for it. But when you're trying to present your clinic or your place as a premium product, it should look as such, right? My chairs are getting kind of frayed, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to buy new chairs. But I try to keep, for the most part, clean towels, new looking towels. They're not ripped, they're not stained. I think those things, you know, is a level of customer service that I think people really appreciate. And when they go somewhere, they're paying attention to certain things that you don't even know that they're paying attention to. So for example, if you do electrical stim, you know, have pads that have their name on it, so it's not being used from person to person. I've had patients come to me and tell me, oh, the place where I was before, they use the same pads on everybody, but they just wipe them clean. I don't know, that sounds kind of gross. You know, people ask us about our paraffin all the time. You know, everyone comes in, if we're using paraffin or not using paraffin, but especially if we're using paraffin, wash your hands first, then take a dip, and then when we take the paraffin off, just throwing it away. And people always ask us, oh, you know, Because I tell them at home, if you're using it for yourself, use a paraffin and you can throw the paraffin back in because it's just you. But since we rotate and we have a lot of people coming through, we don't like to reuse the paraffin because, you know, it's kind of gross. So, you know, little things like that make such a difference, your appearance. One of the things that I've done in my clinic is I've just made it look non-medical. It's because I don't want to be just a medical practice, because then I'll be like every other medical practice. So just a little aspect of customer service, and I think that it doesn't take a lot to do. It's not expensive, right? It's not expensive to have a great phone call conversation. It's not expensive to follow up. You know, how often you follow up just depends on how much money you want to make, right? And then while you're in this session with somebody, it doesn't cost anything to be nice, it doesn't cost anything to listen. And then just keeping up with how clean or how tidy, right, your place is. Like when it starts getting real cluttered looking and like shit's all over the place, it gives you a messy appearance. And so I think like all these layers of customer service, like you might not realize it, but people are looking for that. And if they're paying for something and you want them to pay a premium product for a premium service, you've got to create that premium environment, and you're going to attract more of those patients. And it really doesn't cost anything. Does it cost time and attention? Absolutely. Does it cost a little bit of know-how to do these things and do it in a way that happens over and over, you know, consistently? It does take time and effort for that. But otherwise, the bar is quite low, just offering great customer service. I can tell you right now, after getting my hair cut, the hairdresser didn't even give me her card. The front desk was like, here, if you want to, you know, come and, you know, I forgot if she said to try someone else or what, but I'm like, okay. I've had no follow-up calls. I have no like, you know, did you have a great haircut? I mean, there was a sign that said they offer, you know, drinks, like would you like this drink or that drink. It's like 3 simple drinks. It's not so much that I was thirsty and needed something. I just thought, man, this place wasn't busy at all. Like they had one other person in there, was not busy. And instead of the hairstylist talking to me, right, and finding out more about me, she was talking to the front desk. Oh, have you seen this movie? Oh, like they're both watching the movie. I'm like, who's cutting my hair? Hence my shitty haircut. They offered drinks. Like, did anyone offer us anything? Absolutely not. Like there was nothing, even though all the signs were there, like trying to create like the experience, but they couldn't even execute. So yeah, it takes so little effort. Anyway, let me know what you think about that. And if you're interested in attracting the right customers who are willing to pay your prices, and let's talk about prices. What should they be? Click the link below. It's my OT Business Corner program. We're going to get started pretty soon in it. Send me an email if you have questions. All right, thanks.